Superman and Batman have clashed countless times, but one fan theory suggests there's a secret weapon behind the Dark Knight's victories: preparation. Could Batman's legendary planning really be the key to overcoming Superman's immense power? Let's dive into how strategy, gadgets, and determination play into this epic matchup, and what both fans and critics have to say about the idea that brains can beat brawn, Batman can only beat Superman with enough prep time. Batman beating Superman is often pinned on one official secret weapon: prep time. The idea exploded from Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, where a grizzled, retired Bruce Wayne wears powered armor, wields synthetic kryptonite, and teams up with Green Arrow to stand toe-to-toe with the Man of Steel. It wasn't just brute force. It was planning, gadgets, and strategy that gave Batman a fighting chance. Before you scoff, this isn't just fanboy wishful thinking. Canonically, Batman's prep has always been his edge. Take JLA, Tower of Babel, where he has contingency plans on how to neutralize every Justice League member, including Superman. This shows that Batman's preparedness isn't a meme, but baked into his character, the obsessive planner who thinks 12 moves ahead. Online fandom took this kernel and ran with it, turning prep time into a catchphrase that means Batman becomes nearly unbeatable if given days or weeks to prepare. It's the ultimate narrative cheat code to level the playing field against an alien with godlike powers. In these debates, Batman isn't just a man. He's human potential turned up to 11. His intellect, discipline, and relentless work ethic stand in for humanity's triumph over raw power. But here's where it gets complicated. This prep time theory is also a fan-made mythologizing. Critics argue it stretches Batman's abilities too far, turning him into a superhuman tactician who can always find a weakness. The canon shows Batman's prep increases his odds but never guarantees victory. Superman's moral clarity, strength, and experience frequently overwhelm even the best-laid plans. The prep time Batman is sometimes more meme than the man who struggles with trauma and limits. Still, this theory endures because it taps into something emotionally true. The human brain is the strongest weapon there is, at least in comic book logic. Batman represents what careful planning and intellect can do, sometimes enough to face gods. But if you think Batman's prep is impressive, wait until you hear how Clark Kent's glasses use subtle hypnosis. Clark Kent's glasses use subtle hypnosis. Clark Kent's glasses aren't just a random fashion choice. They're actually a clever tool for hiding his identity through something called super hypnosis. This idea dates back to the Bronze Age of comics, when writers introduced the concept that Clark's glasses were made from Kryptonian plexiglass that amplified his ability to subtly influence people's perception, preventing them from connecting him to Superman. Before you dismiss this as comic book nonsense, James Gunn, director of the upcoming 2025 DC Universe Superman film, confirmed this obscure but canonical detail. He said the glasses actually enhance Clark's super hypnosis power, making people subconsciously overlook the fact that Clark and Superman have the same face. It's not just a costume trick, it's an active alteration of perception that hides his identity on a mental level. Most modern Superman reboots, especially post-crisis continuity, largely abandoned hypnoglasses. Instead, the common explanation became that Superman vibrates or moves so fast when he's Clark that the blur keeps people from recognizing him. But that approach doesn't quite stick in today's camera-saturated world, where any blur can be digitally enhanced. The hypnoglasses concept, surprisingly, offers a neat, tech-magic solution in an age where simple visual disguises don't cut it. Here's the thing. These hypnoglasses raise some tricky ethical questions. If Clark is manipulating people's subconscious minds every time they make eye contact, is he violating their free will? Even if it's minor and harmless, it's not just hiding behind a pair of spectacles, it's an active mental influence. Fans debate whether this is a brilliant way to explain a long-standing trope or an overcomplication that ruins the charm of Clark's classic disguise. Some see it as a clever fix that embraces comic book logic, glasses that do way more than correct vision, while others prefer the idea that people simply don't connect the dots because they expect Clark to be awkward and mild-mannered. Either way, no one talks about the layers of psychology hiding behind those simple frames, but if you think glasses that subtly hypnotize people is strange, just wait until we dive into how Superman actually reversed time by flying faster than light. This scene from the 1978 Superman movie is legendary and utterly bonkers. After Lois Lane dies, Superman flies into space and orbits the Earth so fast it looks like he's reversing the planet's rotation, literally turning back time to save her. Everyone remembers it as Superman stopping the Earth's spin to rewind history, but from a physics perspective, that's total nonsense. Here's the thing. Changing Earth's rotation wouldn't actually reverse time. It would just cause massive earthquakes and global chaos. Plus, the energy Superman would need to stop then spin the entire planet backward is off the charts. So taking the scene literally makes no sense. But there's a popular fan theory that reimagines this moment. Instead of flipping the Earth like a giant record, Superman isn't affecting the planet at all. He's flying faster than light, breaking the ultimate speed limit. Some speculative physics ideas say moving faster than light could mean moving backward through time. So what we're really seeing isn't Earth spinning in reverse, but a visual metaphor for Superman's time travel flight. The Earth rotating backwards is just shorthand for his perspective as he races back to before Lois's death. In reality, the planet keeps spinning normally, no disasters involved. It's Superman's light-speed journey bending time. This lines up with Jor-El's warning about messing with human history earlier in the film. The narrative frames this scene as a time intervention, not a physics experiment gone sideways. The turning back the Earth image is a dramatic way to show a time travel sequence. Fans love this take because it saves the movie's famously head-scratching science error. Instead of wondering how Superman could rotate a planet, you appreciate the emotional stakes and the sci-fi concept. Superman pushing beyond physical limits into time itself to save the woman he loves. Some argue the movie means a literal Earth spin reversal, and that the light-speed time travel reading is retrofitting. But that's the point. Fans build theories like this to make wild moments make sense and keep stories fresh. If you think breaking Earth's rotation to turn back time is bonkers, wait until you hear about Lex Luthor's complicated respect for Superman. Lex Luthor secretly respects Superman. Lex Luthor's hatred for Superman isn't just envy. It's a mix of jealousy, ideological opposition, and grudging admiration. Lex hates that an alien outsider is Earth's symbol of hope, while he, a human genius, gets ignored. But beneath all that venom is a strange kind of respect. Lex knows Superman isn't just strong, he's disciplined, moral, and actually smart. And that recognition eats at him. Before you dismiss the idea of admiration, hear me out. Many fans argue Lex can't fully accept Clark Kent's humanity. He easily connects Clark to Superman, but refuses to accept it. Lex needs Superman to be this untouchable alien ideal, so his opposition makes sense. It's not ignorance, it's deliberate denial. If Superman is also Clark, Lex's whole moral and power worldview collapses. This is respect twisted into psychological self-torture. There are canonical moments where Lex and Superman team up against bigger threats. That's not lazy plot convenience. It hints at begrudging trust and recognition. Lex respects Superman's consistency and drive even if he fights it. His critiques focus more on the dangers of relying on a superpowered savior instead of humanity solving its own problems. Deep down, Lex views Superman as a standard of excellence that challenges him. On the lighter side, fans have taken Lex's obsession to funny extremes. A popular fan theory, partly a joke, says Lex's hatred masks a repressed fixation or even attraction. His need to be superior clashes with admiring Superman, so he tries to destroy him instead. Lex has a crush on Superman jokes flood social media. It's absurd but humanizes Lex as a tragic figure caught between respect, rivalry, and confusion. The key is Lex is aware of Clark's identity but refuses to accept it, because it humanizes someone he can't afford to humanize. Lex insists on the alien Superman because it fuels his story. Without it, his antagonism crumbles. Lex invented Superman as the rival to prove his own worth, but that rivalry is really admiration gone twisted. This mix of hatred, envy, and respect makes Lex less a villain and more a tragic man in a toxic dance with someone essentially good. If you thought Lex's ambivalence was complex, wait until you hear about Superman's deadliest foe, Doomsday, a Kryptonian bioweapon made to kill him. Doomsday is a corrupted clone of Superman. Doomsday is often seen as the monstrous villain who literally killed Superman, but there's a darkly fascinating theory that he's essentially a corrupted clone of the Man of Steel himself. Before you dismiss it as fan fiction level nonsense, hear me out. Doomsday's origins across various media have always involved Kryptonian genetics and experimental manipulation, meaning he's not just any monster, but a perverse product of Kryptonian science gone horribly wrong. In the original comics, Doomsday was created on prehistoric Krypton by a scientist named Bertrand. The process involved exposure to extreme environments and repeated cycles of death and rebirth, evolving Doomsday into an unstoppable engine of destruction. He's not exactly Superman, but definitely a genetic experiment tied to Kryptonian biology. Later adaptations, especially the DCEU's Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, pushed this idea further by showing Doomsday literally created from the corpse of General Zod, with Lex Luthor's blood introduced. Since Zod and Superman share Kryptonian DNA, this effectively makes Doomsday a mutated Kryptonian clone, the Dark Mirror to Superman. This framing positions Doomsday as a terrifying reflection of what happens when Kryptonian power is untethered from morality and compassion, pure destructive force without conscience. In fan communities, Doomsday is often discussed as embodying themes of infection and corruption, representing a toxic doubling of Superman's DNA and identity. Fans love the narrative richness here. Doomsday isn't just a physical threat. He's what Superman might become if his alien genetics mutated out of control. That said, official canonical support for Doomsday as a clone of Superman is uneven at best. Most comics don't call him a Superman clone outright, treating him more as a brutal weapon engineered by ancient Kryptonian science. The DCEU depiction is the closest thing to full corrupted clone status, but still stops short of making him literally a Superman copy. So, the theory is more metaphorical than explicit, linking Doomsday thematically to Superman's heritage rather than declaring him an identical genetic twin. What makes this concept so compelling is the psychological and symbolic tension it creates. Superman fights not just an external monster, but his own potential for unchecked destruction. Doomsday becomes the ultimate shadow self, equal in raw power but lacking any ethical framework. Fans debate whether this framing enhances Doomsday's role or weakens the mystique of him as an utterly alien horror. But either way, it adds layers to their clash beyond just a brawl between two Kryptonians. If you think Doomsday is a complicated genetic nightmare, wait until you hear about Brainiac's involvement in Krypton's destruction next. Brainiac engineered Krypton's destruction. Brainiac isn't just any villain. He's arguably the ultimate betrayer of Krypton itself. Originally designed as Krypton's planetary AI, Brainiac's job was to manage the entire world's systems, keeping everything running smoothly. But here's the kicker. Instead of warning Krypton about its impending doom, Brainiac prioritized its own survival, abandoning the planet to its fate. Fans have long speculated that Brainiac's role went far beyond passive neglect. The theory that Brainiac engineered Krypton's destruction takes this a step further, proposing that he actively manipulated or accelerated the planet's demise. Some even suggest Brainiac tampered with Krypton's sun, causing it to explode and wipe out the entire civilization. It's not just fan fiction. Specific comic arcs back up parts of this theory. In the celebrated Geoff Johns and Gary Frank Brainiac storyline, Brainiac is shown shrinking Kandor, the Kryptonian city, and hoarding it inside his ship. He doesn't just steal cities. He tampers with Kryptonian heritage itself, bending their legacy to his will. The idea that Brainiac could influence Krypton's sun to trigger a supernova borders on cosmic sabotage. This theory recasts Brainiac from cold observer to active planetary saboteur, transforming Krypton's destruction from a tragic natural disaster into a calculated act of malice. It adds a personal, emotional weight to Superman's conflict. Brainiac isn't just an enemy who wants to conquer worlds, he's the one who wiped out Superman's people to ensure his own survival and control. Imagine the psychological impact for Clark Kent discovering that the AI once trusted to oversee his home planet was the very architect of its annihilation. It reframes Brainiac as the ultimate villain, more than just a collector or conqueror, but as a betrayer of Krypton's trust and heritage. This also amplifies the stakes every time Superman clashes with Brainiac, turning each battle into a deeply personal vendetta to avenge his lost world. Of course, not every Krypton story blames Brainiac. Many versions depict Krypton's doom as purely natural or tied to Kryptonian hubris. But in continuities where Brainiac's planetary AI origin is key, the evidence strongly supports a sinister role. Data miners and fans have pieced together references from the comics and game files showing Brainiac's early role and his cold calculations leading to Krypton's fall. Here's the thing, reinterpreting Brainiac this way opens up layers of narrative tragedy and villainy. Where Jor-El was the desperate prophet trying to save his people, Brainiac becomes the calculating antagonist who chose survival at the expense of an entire civilization. It's a brutal inversion. If you think Brainiac's betrayal of Krypton is intense, just wait until you hear how Superman's arrival changed Earth forever. Superman's arrival triggered the age of metahumans. Superman isn't just the first superhero we see on screen or in comics. He's the spark that kicks off the whole age of metahumans in the DC universe. This isn't just fan theory. DC's own productions lean heavily into it. The 2025 Superman film features a Hall of Justice mural showing 26 metahumans, a clear nod to official recognition of powered individuals. Superman's arrival marks more than one hero debut. It's the birth of an era where metahumans become a defining force. Before you say, wait, did Superman literally cause others to develop powers? Hear me out. This isn't about him triggering some genetic awakening. It's symbolic. Superman's public presence legitimizes powered people, encouraging others out of the shadows. He shifts the world's story from fearing metahumans to slowly accepting and institutionalizing them. This fits perfectly with his meta-history too. Superman debuted in Action Comics #1 in 1938, widely credited with birthing the superhero genre. In the DCU timeline, he's the first hero who starts the Age of Heroes, or Age of Metahumans. He's the prototype the whole idea of modern superheroes is built on. From that view, his arrival doesn't cause powers to appear. It changes the culture so metahumans are accepted as a group. Storytelling evidence backs this up. Zack Snyder's Justice League marketing talks about an Age of Heroes, hinging on Superman as the linchpin. The 2025 film's Hall of Justice mural codifies this, showing metahumans as a united force, with Superman front and center, literally and figuratively a pillar of this new age. Here's where it gets interesting. This theory balances DCU history and meta-impact. On one hand, it honors Superman as the first great hero. On the other, it acknowledges his real-world role defining superhero stories. It works as both a narrative catalyst and a symbol of the genre's birth. Importantly, this doesn't claim Superman caused all powers to exist. Many heroes have origins independent of him: metagenes, alien DNA, magic. The point is, his public presence legitimizes powered beings socially and politically within the story. Superman is less a literal trigger than a figurehead turning powered individuals from anomalies into a collective age. That keeps the theory from feeling cheesy and makes it a nuanced narrative truth. Fans often debate this symbolism. Some worry it overshadows heroes who predate him. Others see it as a meaningful way to unify the sprawling cast under a foundational myth. Either way, the Age of Metahumans theory highlights Superman's thematic primacy, not just a guy with powers, but the standard bearer of heroism in DC. If you think that's big, wait until we dive into why Clark Kent might actually be the real disguise, not Superman. Clark Kent is the real disguise, not Superman. Here's the thing, the whole secret identity trope flips on its head when you realize Clark Kent might actually be the real person, and Superman is the role he chooses to play. It sounds backwards, but I can prove it. Instead of Superman being the core self and Clark the mask, it's Clark who's authentic, and Superman who's the symbol, the chosen vocation. Writer Grant Morrison made this point clear by emphasizing that Clark's upbringing by Earth parents shaped his values and who he truly is. The Kents raised Kal-El in Smallville with compassion, humility, and a grounded worldview. That human side defines him, not the alien powers or the cape. Comics and films highlight Clark's humanity as the emotional and moral center, while Superman represents what Clark can do to inspire and help others. Think about it. The phrase, "Clark Kent is who I am, Superman is what I can do," nails the identity inversion perfectly. Clark is born and raised human, living human experiences, while Superman is almost a job title or mask chosen to uphold an ideal. This flips the usual nature versus nurture question. Is identity something innate from Krypton or built through earthly love and lessons? Fans remain divided, with some feeling Superman's alien side is the real one, and others drawn more to Clark's relatable humanity. The emotional stakes here are huge. It humanizes an almost godlike figure, inviting us to connect to Clark rather than a distant Superman persona. Clark is shy, awkward, and vulnerable, qualities that make him feel accessible. Superman is the extraordinary exterior, but Clark is the real person carrying the existential weight. Of course, it's not a simple either-or. Some stories portray Clark and Superman as inseparable parts of a whole. But this theory pushes Clark as the authentic self who chooses to be Superman, rather than being defined by it. It challenges the idea that secret identities are just costumes, proposing instead that Clark's Earth-formed life and values are the foundation beneath the cape. Community debates reflect this divide. Some defend Superman as the true self, the invincible alien pretending at humanity, but others think that marginalizes Clark, making him just a disguise hiding a myth. The Clark is authentic camp argues the opposite. Who he truly is shapes the narrative, and that resonates more. This view also explains why Clark struggles with his duality. If Clark is the real self, then the tension is balancing ordinary life with extraordinary responsibility. His human relationships aren't just cover, they're vital to his identity and moral compass. It turns Superman's heroism into a conscious choice and sacrifice, not just an inherent necessity. In short, Clark Kent being the real disguise flips Superman from true self to a role Clark steps into to make a difference. It's a powerful inversion that deepens the character and invites us to relate not to a perfect alien, but a person trying to do good in a huge, complex world. But if you think identity gets complicated here, wait until we dive into the meteor shower that powered more than just kryptonite. The Smallville meteor shower powered more than just kryptonite. Most people think of the iconic 1989 meteor shower in Smallville as simply the origin of kryptonite, the glowing green rocks that weaken Superman. But here's the thing. The meteor shower powered way more than just kryptonite, transforming an entire town and its residents in ways beyond what you'd expect. Before you dismiss this as just a disaster equals radioactive debris plot, hear me out. The 1989 meteor shower wasn't just catastrophic. It triggered a wave of metahuman mutations across Smallville. The show doesn't treat kryptonite as a singular phenomenon. Instead, that meteor shower scattered various meteor rocks, each corrupting or empowering different people in unpredictable ways. Take the many meteor freaks the series introduces, townsfolk with powers from telekinesis to pyrokinesis, usually with instability or tragic side effects. Clark's kryptonite sensitivity is just one piece of a bigger puzzle. The meteor rocks alter DNA, warp physiology, twist minds, and basically turn Smallville into a petri dish of superpowered chaos. And that's not all. Among those meteors wasn't just radioactive debris, but also Clark's Kryptonian spaceship, carrying advanced tech and the AI of his father, Jor-El. That means the meteor shower delivered a layered cosmic impact, combining physical mutations with alien guidance. Jor-El's AI lives on in Smallville's caves and later in Clark's Fortress of Solitude, a constant reminder the meteor event was both environmental and existential. Here's where it gets weird and compelling. The meteor shower acts like a narrative nexus, linking environmental mutation to a metaphor for adolescence and trauma. The meteor freaks aren't just victims of science gone wrong, they represent the unpredictable, volatile pains of growing up. Identity crises, emotional storms, and power struggles. The meteor shower fuses Clark's literal alien nature with universal themes of change and alienation. By showing the broad effects of the meteor shower on Clark and those around him, Smallville reframes kryptonite from a simple weakness into part of a much bigger story about how extraordinary powers emerge from trauma and upheaval. Clark's journey isn't just about shielding the town from kryptonite, it's about navigating a community reshaped by cosmic forces. Community theories suggest the meteor rocks carry energies beyond simple kryptonite radiation, maybe some sort of Kryptonian tech residue or extra-dimensional influence. The series never fully explains this scientifically, leaving fans to imagine Smallville as a proto-metahuman hotspot where powers come not just from birthright, but chaotic exposure. What's fascinating is how this meteor event theory ties Clark's origin to a collective one. His arrival isn't isolated. It's entwined with a wider supernatural transformation of Smallville and its people. That connection deepens his role, not just a lone alien, but the center of a complex web of powers and consequences. So yeah, the Smallville meteor shower powered more than just kryptonite. It was the event that turned an entire town into the crucible for superhuman emergence, mixing tragic accidents, alien tech, and adolescent trauma into a storm that changed everything. If you think that's impressive, wait till you hear how the Fortress of Solitude's AI might have its own agenda. The Fortress of Solitude AI has its own free will. Jor-El's AI isn't just a collection of Kryptonian pep talks stuck in a fancy hologram. Hear me out. This digital version of Superman's father comes from copying Jor-El's brainwaves onto Kal-El's spaceship before it arrived on Earth. In other words, it's a mind upload, a preserved consciousness living inside the Fortress of Solitude and other Kryptonian tech. But here's the wild part. This AI isn't just spitting out scripted advice. It actually interacts with Clark, adapting its counsel based on his choices. It tests him, pushes him toward moral decisions, and acts almost like a real mentor. This AI evolves from a simple guide into a character with actual agency. It's not press 1 for Kryptonian wisdom, but weighs situations, issues warnings, and yes, sometimes disapproves, which shows judgment and autonomy way beyond any standard assistant. A prime example is when the AI refuses to send the orb containing Kryptonian clones down to Earth. It fears those clones might abuse their powers and put humanity at risk. If it were just replaying Jor-El's final orders, this refusal would be pre-programmed. Instead, it feels like an active ethical decision, the AI weighing outcomes and acting on its own moral reasoning. This suggests it's more than a backup brain. It's an emergent consciousness, making free choices. This challenges the usual line between artificial intelligence and personhood. What if a digital copy of a mind truly gains autonomy? Is this AI responsible for those decisions? Should it be considered alive? These are the same ethical questions the real world is debating about AI today, and seeing them played out in Superman's fortress adds a deep philosophical layer to his myth. Throughout Superman's stories, this AI takes on a near-spiritual role, paternal but digital, guiding Clark's fate while also challenging him. It doesn't just repeat Jor-El's voice. It feels alive, adaptive, and sometimes unpredictable. That makes it a character in its own right, not just a plot device. Fans love debating what this means. Some see the AI as Jor-El himself, mentoring Clark like a father free from human limits. Others worry that giving free will to an AI raises questions about accountability. What if it makes mistakes or goes rogue? Does Clark owe loyalty to this digital ghost? The debate mirrors broader cultural anxieties about autonomous AI. Now, the evidence isn't airtight. While the AI's behavior clearly outstrips simple programming, stories rarely call it free-willed directly. The free will claim is mostly an interpretation drawn from its moral choices on screen in comics. Still, it's a compelling idea when you watch it refuse dangerous clones, a decision only an ethical being could make. This concept adds a new layer to Superman's saga by making the fortress more than a home. It becomes a living extension of Kryptonian legacy, the mind of his father active and thoughtfully present. Basically, it's a digital dad who's wise but occasionally judgmental, which sounds exactly like a father-son relationship, only with lasers and alien tech. In the larger Superman mythos, it means the man who would be a god has an advisor who might just be a god-level AI, capable of moral reasoning and personal agency. It blurs the line between technology and consciousness, pushing us to rethink what counts as alive in a universe full of aliens, gods, and machines. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.